Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, and welcome to another webcast, SecPod, and another session. This session of SecPod Labs Intelligence Series, um, we want to discuss biggest endpoint vulnerabilities that surfaced in 2020 and that continue to pose risk in 2021. And 2020 was not an easy year. Other than COVID, there were state-sponsored attacks as well as national attacks as well. And that's something that inspired us to talk about what were the major vulnerabilities that we discovered as well as others in the community peer community discovered, as well as some of them that pose a risk still in 2021. And my name is Jagsir. I take care of the product marketing at SecPod. And then today I have Virendra with me, who heads the security intelligence team. Hi, Virendra.
Hello, Jagsir.
Hi, welcome. And thanks for joining us. So a quick, Virendra, sir, heading the
Yes.
security intelligence team. I mean, that sounds pretty interesting and also exciting. Can you talk a little bit about yourself, and then also what do you do? What does your usual day look like?
Okay. Thank you, Jagsir. Hello, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Virendra. I had security research and intelligence team. So on day to day at SecPod, we work on the vulnerabilities, malwares, exploit kits, and various security configurations. And daily we see every day we see a lot of attacks, specifically with respect to vulnerabilities getting exploited by various threat actors. So we do research on the latest vulnerabilities on a daily basis and create POCs if required, and understanding what are the implications or impact of those vulnerabilities. And then we after doing research, we convert that research portion into security checks which can detect and patch those security vulnerabilities. That is with respect to vulnerabilities. And with respect to malwares, exploit kits, we also do analysis of malwares and exploit kits. We have various we have honeypots. We collect malwares from various sources, including from our honeypot, and we analyze in our research labs. And we also try to understand what are the malware capabilities when we try to research or analyze those malwares. And we try to identify what malwares are exploiting what kind of vulnerabilities. And again, after the research, we convert the research portion into again security content which is consumed by our Saner platform. And along with these all these things, we try to write technical blogs on these research, and also we send out customer alerts to customer alerts about the critical vulnerabilities, 0 days, and widely exploited vulnerabilities, malwares, etc. And this is a day-to-day activities. And some days it's like a very busy day where whenever there is a 0 day exploits are getting detected, or some malware is making a lot of noise, try to attack various companies. And also it's a very today is a past Tuesday, right? So today we'll be very busy understanding the implication of vulnerabilities. And that's how our day-to-day things go.
Oh, wow. Um, Amazing. I mean, I can imagine all the different things that keep you and your team always on feet, Virendra. Okay, so moving on, a quick insight into our agenda today. What we intend to do today is discuss cybersecurity threats that we discovered and then we came across in 2020, followed by a very quick introduction on about the vulnerability intelligence report that we created, Virendra and the team, entire SecPod team created. And we have summarized top vulnerabilities of 2020 in a very organized manner in that report. So we're going to spend some time discussing that, followed by top targets. What are the top? What were the top targets in 2020? And Virendra will give us an insight into that. And then, what an amazing thing to do. Virendra also has a demo of an actual vulnerability exploitation. So you can see how these vulnerabilities are being exercised by attackers in real life. Then we're not going to let you go away just like that, but Virendra is going to also discuss a few things that would help you build a stronger defense against these threats. And if you have any questions during the session or after the session, we do have a dedicated slot towards the end of the session where we would take all those questions and try to answer them. So I'm looking forward to a great talk. Virendra, handing over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jagsir. Okay, so last year we have seen 2020, which was the whole world will remember this 2020 year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So and it was quite challenging as well. This pandemic has shaken the whole world and crippled many industries, as the whole world was not ready for such a to handle such a kind of situations. So IT is one of the least affected industry, I can say, and many companies in the IT were able to quickly adapt to this pandemic situation using technology and started working from home without compromising on the productivity. But there were various few challenges along with that. The and also due to this work from home aspect, the angle into the cyber security also got changed a little bit. And the bright side of this pandemic, we all also know what are the disaster this pandemic has been caused. But the bright side there are few bright sides of this pandemic also, which includes it opened up various innovations, faster adaptation to technology and other things, a lot of learnings. And also a major thing I consider is word was fast forward mode. The word moved 2 to 3 years ahead of its time. So that is what I believe. It took this pandemic took us 2 to 3 years fast forward. So, and with respect to cyber security posture, the threat attack surface got increased due to the work from home culture. A lot of endpoints, more endpoints now, apart from the endpoints in the office or companies. Everybody started using their own laptops and other things as well to connect to the to make us themselves work from home. So all these things helped cybersecurity industry to grow a little faster compared to earlier. Now, and at SecPod also we are able to adapt to this situation quite fast, and thanks to technology. Without that, it was not possible to quickly adapt to it and work from home without affecting the productivity. And it has its own we had our own challenges in the initial stage, but we were able to handle those things. So this everybody will remember this 2020 year 2020 with in their whole lifetime. So that's on the cyber security, how things started in 2020. And going back to next is how what are the we'll try to understand in 2020 or the vulnerabilities, how it shaped the entire world. If I take last 20, if we see last 20 years data, as we can see in the graph, in 2000, the only 1,000 vulnerabilities were there, and if I come back to 2020, we can see 18k vulnerabilities, 18k plus vulnerabilities, which is a huge exponential increase, jump in the vulnerability count. If we retrospect 2020, we can see there are 2020 itself is a 18k plus vulnerabilities, which are assigned with a CV identifier. If you count actual numbers, it is much more than that, because many vulnerabilities may not got the CV IDs. So if I and coming to 2021 now, as a Q1 is over, we can see we have already crossed 5k mark, which is a significant number in the vulnerabilities. And if things go like this, I'm sure we will cross 20k mark this year for sure. So this is a little bit about on the last 2020 vulnerability statistics. And few more things we need to understand is vulnerability. 90+% of the attack or exploitations happen using unpatched vulnerabilities and weak configuration, which is a very high number. If we are able to patch those vulnerabilities and configure our systems with respect to, or revalidate our security configurations or security settings on the systems or endpoints, I think we will be able to block 90% of the attacks. And next is in 2020 we crossed 18k vulnerabilities. If I want to calculate per day, on an average 45 to 50 vulnerabilities got reported. That's a huge number. And every day handling, understanding, trying to understand those what are the vulnerabilities got exposed, or what are the CV got assigned. It's a huge task on a daily basis. And along with that, patching is also one of the important aspect when it comes to on a day-to-day basis. And if I consider, we can see in the so these are the aspects, 90% and 18k, and year-on-year basis, 7 to 8% increase in the vulnerabilities from last 4 years. As you can see in the graph here, in the previous graph, we can see in 2017 we had 14.5k, and 2018 16k, 16.5k, 2019 17k, and 2020 80k, 18k plus. And now if as I mentioned earlier, if we go with the same pace, whatever, if I analyze Q1 as 5,000, and I'm sure we'll cross 20k vulnerabilities for sure. So if I consider those things from last 4 years, the year-on-year increase is around 7 to 8%. So that's on the stats with respect to vulnerabilities. And let's try to understand vulnerability report. So what we are going to talk. So in this report, we are going to talk about top 20 critical vulnerabilities which are being exploited in 2020. Or which are very critical. If you don't patch them, it can cause serious damage to the organization. And this report also will talk about how exploitation happens, how exploitation activity on those critical vulnerabilities, what are the impact of those critical vulnerabilities, how to mitigate these vulnerabilities going forward. If many organization will take considerable amount of time for patching, and a few vulnerabilities are so critical that we have to patch as soon as possible. We cannot give a very long time. There are challenges. We'll see going forward. We'll see what are the challenges and all of the things. And coming to top targets, in the last year, we have seen these are the few targets. These are the top targets which attacker started exploiting. These exploiting the vulnerabilities. Starting with the endpoint devices, endpoint device are always the favorite attack target for the threat actors. When I say endpoints, it includes all desktops, laptop, mobile devices, servers, etc. All these are the endpoints. So going forward, the endpoint count is going to increase a lot. Normally, the attacker target application on the endpoints such as browsers, email clients, PDF readers, and various other productivity softwares and tools. And to achieve this, they will use humans, which is us, which is I feel humans are the weakest links. Hence these are the ideal targets, because these endpoints, most of the things, if I consider desktop, laptops, mobiles, are being used by normal end users. So, and it's easy for an attacker to target these people. So next, coming to network devices, these are also favorite attacks. Uh, Favorite attacks, because endpoints, these servers are if when I say network devices, they will have a lot of control over the network if they can attack these network devices, and if they were able to get hold of the system or these network devices, they can do a lot of damages. But these are network devices, those are built with a security mindset, and those are hardened. Because of that, it is a little hard for attacker threat actors to attack those network devices. And also, these devices are won't be used by normal end users. There will be specific admins, security admins, who will take care of these network devices. So it is a little hard. And coming to next is critical servers, which includes SMTP servers, SMB servers, DNS, a domain controller, etc. These are also one of the critical attack target. Reason being, these are exposed. These servers are exposed to the outside world. If I many of the things like SMTP or DNS, if I take, these are exposed outside, and most of the time, if I want to attack, or if threat actors want to attack those systems, wherever they can attack from anywhere in the world, as they are exposed outside. So that's it is little here also, the it is little hard for the attackers, but if they were able to find a critical vulnerabilities, and remotely if they can attack and get hold of the system, then they can do a lot of damage. They can come into the network via these servers. They can get into the kind of organization infrastructure, and they can do a lot of other damages as well. Due to COVID-19, most of them started working from home, right? This leads increase in the usage of RMM, which is a remote monitoring and management tools, conference applications. To give an example, Teamweaver, you can say, as a RMM. Teamweaver is a RMM, or Zoom, which is a famous application in the for the conference purposes. And this Zoom has become favorite for the attackers, because many people started using Zoom on a daily basis due to work from home culture. So these are the few things which threat actor consider them as a top targets, and they try all the possibilities from exploitation to social engineering, spamming, many various other methods to get into the systems or get into the organizations. And last but not least, the humans. We consider humans are the weakest points. The reason behind it is, like, if anybody has a if employees don't know how to handle the security, if security, then it will consider a lot of problems. If like attacker can send a malicious email saying, with a malicious attachment, saying just to open that, convince the end user to open it, and as soon as they open, and it will have a malicious content which can compromise the system. So attackers will be able to get hold of the system where these attachments are open, or that's person system. They are basically they are into the network already, even though there are various defense mechanisms. All are got bypassed due to just this mistake. So that's a reason we consider humans are the weakest links, and there are n number of ways where attacker use to make to achieve their target. They do n number of activities, and that's on the top targets. Coming to next is, we'll try to understand each vulnerabilities in the 2020. What are the top vulnerabilities? What are the top 20 vulnerabilities that we considered as a high risk, and those should be patched as soon as possible. Okay, starting with SMTPD. So we know in the start of the last year, like January 2020, this in OpenSMTPD, there was a critical vulnerability in the OpenSMTPD, with for which the CVSS score is 9.8, which is considered to be very high. The reason behind this vulnerability is due to it's not able to handle certain data. So that's a reason. And what is the impact of this vulnerability? Using this vulnerability, attacker can execute any commands. Attacker can execute any commands on the target system. Okay, so what are the applications? This Open SMTPD is present in many Linux distros, which includes FreeBSD, OpenBSD, Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora. All these are vulnerable. So considering this aspect, this is one of the very critical vulnerabilities. And also spamming or social engineering via email is uh, uh, critical factor for the attackers. That's a reason we consider this as one of the critical vulnerability which need to be patched as soon as possible. Coming to next, Google Chrome, which is in the month of February, we found there are around various vulnerabilities, which includes Chrome and other vulnerabilities as well. So So Chrome, this Chrome vulnerability in the Feb, it was a 2 0-day vulnerabilities got discovered, and the implication of this vulnerability is a remote code execution. So attacker is able to can send a malicious link to a person or an end user and use social engineering method to open the link or open specific file using Chrome browser. If they open it, and it will lead to command execution. So this is also one of the important aspect of last year. And third one is Cisco product, which is a network devices, which has there are around total 5 vulnerabilities. Out of these 5 vulnerabilities, 4 are considered to be remote code execution vulnerabilities. And this Cisco product affected products includes wide variety of routers, switches, IP cameras, IP phone. There are lot of these all things. Network devices are being deployed in various organizations at various points. So this is also one of the and this critical vulnerability is leading. 4 of them are leading to remote code execution. Uh, and this vulnerability is also they marked a CD pawn because the vulnerability is present in Cisco Discovery Protocol, a proprietary layer 2 protocol developed by Cisco system. That's the reason it's termed as CD pawn. Next one is Apache Tomcat. Apache Tomcat is an application server, and this vulnerability was there in the Apache Tomcat more than a decade. It's a more than a decade old vulnerability, and it got discovered in 2020. Uh, uh, 2020 the exploitation of this vulnerability is quite easy as well. It is not a complex vulnerability, it's a easy one, and attacker can utilize this vulnerability to uh, read sensitive information, configuration files, source code, etc. Also they can combine with the other attacks, and they'll be able to do a remote code execution also. And this has been called this vulnerability is also called as ghost cat. So that's on the Apache. And next one is Trend Micro security products. There were few 0-day vulnerabilities in this. There are two CVs assigned to the products, and products include Trend Micro Apex 1 and Office Scan. These are 0-day exploits, and these vulnerabilities are exploited in the wild. So so threat actors used these vulnerabilities and exploited few organizations, and they were able to get sensitive information. So who are the victims of this? Uh, Mitsubishi Electric, Japanese electric vendor, they are the victims of this vulnerability, and attackers were able to steal some financial information and various other information in this attack. And what is the impact? So using this they will be able to execute arbitrary code, bypass security mechanisms, and modify components sensitive components on the target. So those are the implications for this. Next one is Salt Stack vulnerability. So what is Salt Stack? It's an open source remote task configuration management framework. So where it is used, it's used basically in the data centers and cloud environments, and that's a one reason the I think the threat actor found the vulnerability, and they were able to utilize that vulnerability in and this Salt Stack is be used in various other organizations and applications as well. And nowadays data centers and cloud is becoming more and more popular the threat actors started attacking this kind of softwares, which where the whole data centers are affected, or which is deployed in the cloud environments. So this is a where the attacker try to think how they can expand the scope. If they are able to compromise or take over the data center, then all the systems which are deployed, or all the servers which are deployed in that data centers are affected, right? So that's a reason threat actors are becoming and trying to find softwares which affects a lot of other products as well. So, who are the victims for this? Zen Orchestra, that is one. Zen servers were hit by this attack. Also, Lineage OS, which due to this vulnerability, they have to take down their servers to patch again, to apply the patches, or to deal with these kind of attacks. So they have to take down. So these are like data centers taking down or disconnecting a data center for a minute is also causes a lot of problems, but they have to take down multiple couple of servers. So next one is DNS servers. So why DNS servers are important? So DNS servers are backbones, I can say, because without DNS servers, many things will break. Many things will break, or things will not go as expected. So that's the reason DNS servers are important. And there were critical vulnerabilities in DNS servers. What kind of DNS server? It's a what kind of DNS server applications are affected by this? Uh, it includes many vendors like Bind, Microsoft DNS, Power DNS, even Google, Cloudflare. All these DNS servers are affected by this vulnerability. What is the implication of this DNS vulnerability? It can cause like they can do a DDoS attack. The problem here is these DNS servers are critical. Without these DNS servers or recursive resolvers and authoritative servers, the internet will not work properly. If the DDoS is happening there, if they have to bring down those servers, then whole global internet traffic will get affected. So that's a reason this is one of the critical vulnerabilities, and it's also called NX attack, which is nothing but non-existent name server attacks. Okay, so and it affects a lot of big DNS vendors like Google, Microsoft, Power DNS, Cloudflare, etc. So going to next, IoT devices. So next is there were total 20 vulnerabilities in the TCP IP stack, which affect various IoT devices such as Cisco, HP, Intel, Rockwell Automation, and etc. And you can see that CVS score, which is 10 out of 10, means it is very critical vulnerability in the TCP IP stack, which can lead or which can lead to remote code execution or complete compromise of the those systems. And so that's the reason this is also one of the important vulnerability. Not just important, it's a very critical vulnerability. Okay, coming to next, Zoom. I think last year, due to COVID-19 pandemic, the Zoom became very famous client for conference applications. So various organizations started using Zoom due to its ease of use and other features. But at the same time, the attackers know like various people are using Zoom, so that's a good target, good attack target. That's the reason they attack the Zoom and try to find like they were able to do a Zoom bombing, and various educational institutes and various organizations uh, saw they call it as Zoom bombing, where bad actors were able to enter a video call and disturb the meeting, or doing some giving some threats, etc. That's one of the important vulnerability uh, which was discovered. And what are the impact of this vulnerability? They can literally take over the system. They can combine two vulnerabilities here, which is like they can upload send a malicious zip file to a user if they open it, and it's able to copy those files in a specific place, and they can use it to they can use other vulnerability like path traverser to get hold of the system, and complete compromise of the system is possible. And this vulnerability does not require any authentication as well. So this is that's a reason this is also considered as one of the critical vulnerabilities of 2020. So next is SMB. There were vulnerabilities in Windows SMB protocol. There were two vulnerabilities. One is these are also called SMB Ghost and SMB SM Bleed. So yeah, these were in a different time, like in the March, they found this one vulnerability, which is uh, for which CVSS score is 10.0, and combining these two, literally attacker or a threat actor can harm the system in such a way that he can get complete control of the server or a client. So that's possible. That's a reason this is one of the important aspect. And this SMB server or SMB protocol server will be running on almost all the Windows systems. And we know Windows systems are majority of the endpoints run Windows system. So that's the reason this is also a high target, and the implication as it's a remote code execution and sensitive inform disclosure and all those things. And this is also marked as CVSS CVSS 3.0 as 10.0. Next one is Microsoft Windows DNS server. This was also discovered in the month of June, and this is 17-year-old vulnerability, and it got discovered. So it's this vulnerability is there was there in the DNS server from almost 17 years. And this vulnerability is critical in such a way that it's vulnerable. What it meant by that? Attacker or a threat actor can create a malware which can exploit this vulnerability and jump into other system, again exploit, again jump into other system. So it's possible that that's a reason it's very critical. Once they are into the infrastructure or organization, that can cause a lot of damage to all the affected systems. So that's the reason this is also one of the important vulnerability in 2020. And as we know, DNS servers are critical servers as well. And as usual, the implication is remote code execution, and it's also called as SegRate. and they patched this vulnerability in the patch Tuesday of July 2020. And so coming to next, F5 big IP devices. Here also there were critical vulnerabilities in the big IP devices. It involves various big IP devices such as LTM, AM, AFM, etc. Uh, uh, what are the implication of this? Attacker can delete or create files. They can disturb the services. They can also run system commands present in those devices. Commands also they can run, and it's also possible that complete compromise of the system is possible. So that is highest any threat actor would like to do. So that's the reason. This is also one of the important vulnerability. Okay, next is Teamweaver. Okay, we as we have seen, Teamweaver usage of Teamweaver was there earlier to some extent, but due to this pandemic, the usage of RMM tool, which is Teamweaver and or similar to like AnyDesk, and all those got increased because IT team has to manage remote systems remotely. So the usage of this is also increased, and attacker can understand this. And for this also, in the month of July, there was a critical vulnerability, which using that vulnerability can can actually compromise on the complete system. And also we consider this as very critical one, because Teamweaver, when they say it's allowed, normally they will whitelist that application, and it's allowed via security, uh, over the security devices. Uh, and attacker can make use of this vulnerability, and he can directly can get into the system, and he can do a lot of other damages once he is able to control the uh, endpoint where the Teamweaver is installed. And also he can read, using this, what are the implications of this. He can read sensitive credential information, and also he can take complete control of the system. Next one is grub bootloader. It's also called boot hole. This is the vulnerability which is present in the grub, and this attack is a little complex one. It's not a direct attack, but the implication is very hard. If attacker is able to successfully get into the system, he can completely replace kernel with a malicious kernel. So which is like, once the kernel itself is a malicious, no other security software on that system can identify, because the kernel is a main part of the systems, main part of the OS. That's the reason it's very hard for other security devices, and it's easy for security, easy for attacker to bypass those security softwares. And and it affects Linux as well as Windows. Both of them released a security patch for this vulnerability. Coming to last 6 vulnerabilities. One is Windows domain controller. So we already know, we all know that Windows domain controller is always a high target, and very favorite among the threat actor. Why? Because once you are able to get into the Windows domain controller, it's like all the systems connected to the Windows domain controller are a part of that Windows domain controller, they can literally install any applications. They can control whole all those endpoints which are connected to this. So in the month of July, sorry, so they were able to. There was a critical vulnerability in the domain controller. And in the month of August, this vulnerability has been discovered. So, and this vulnerability is critical because it does not require any authentication. So that's a reason it's one of the important vulnerability which needs to be patched immediately. So attacker who successfully exploit this vulnerability, they will be able to control domain controller along with all the devices connected to that system. So who are the victims for these things? The cyber security CISA, Cyber Security Infrastructure Security Agency, FBI reported risk to the election support system. So because of this vulnerability, they send out an alert on this vulnerability. So next one is Oracle WebLogic server, where this is also a very easy vulnerability where easy to exploit. When I say easy vulnerability, it's very easy to attack, and no need of in-depth technical knowledge for an attacker. So this is also one of the easy vulnerability in the WebLogic server, and this has been there were actually two initially in the month of October. They Yeah, there was a vulnerability which was discovered, and again they released one more CV which is 14750 uh, released, which was bypassing the previous patch. So attackers or the security researcher are becoming clever, where they try to bypass those security patches once those security patches are available. They will always try because it's easy once they can understand the patch, and they can try to check whether vendor has patched the actual problem, or they added some code which can just patch it temporarily. In this case, so it looks like they patched it temporarily, and that's a reason they did not close the root cause of the vulnerability. That's a reason attackers or next they were able to bypass they were able to bypass this vulnerability. And who are the using this they were able to execute the remote code. So who are the victims? Dark IRC botnet is actually targeted thousands of Oracle servers and exploited this vulnerability. So that's a botnet which try to exploit all the vulnerable WebLogic servers. So next is Google Chrome, Apple, and Mozilla Firefox. All these are desktop applications. In the when I say Apple products, various it includes OS as well, Safari web browser, and various other products. And Chrome and Mozilla are browsers, which is as I discussed earlier, which are desktop applications. Most of the users use one of these browsers to browse the network, and it's easy for attacker to exploit these vulnerabilities. And coming to last section, SolarWinds attack. So when we were enjoying the December due to Christmas and other things, we discovered that there is a critical vulnerabilities in SolarWinds Orient platform, and we also discovered that this is discovered that this is creating this created a lot of problems due to supply chain. When fire guy got attacked and they investigated, they found that it is due to supply chain attack. And also uh, solar this SolarWinds Orient platform is deployed among various customers, approximately 3 lakh customers, but as per them, the 18K customers are affected or deployed affected by this vulnerability. And SolarWinds Okay, that's on the SolarWind attack. It caused a lot of trouble for whole industry as a security point of view. So let's try to understand. Let's try quickly try demo on the vulnerability demo. I think we are a little running out of time. Let me start quickly the systems. Okay, I'm sharing the. Let me share the screen. Can you somebody confirm? Are you guys able to see the screen?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay, thank you, Jaxi, for the confirmation. Okay, let's we are running out of a little time. Let's try to quickly start Metasploit, which normally we use for this attack. Let's increase the font. Okay, yeah, let it load. Let's okay. Some issue with okay. Let me try once again. I think it got disconnected. Right? You are not able to see. Can you, Jaxir? Can you confirm? Are you able to see?
Yeah. Not able to see now, Viru.
Okay. I think it got disconnected. Let me.
I think you have to share your screen again.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll just.
Also, Viru, what kind of vulnerability are you going to demonstrate? The vulnerability exploit that you're going to show us now.
Okay.
What is it all about?
Okay, yeah, that's today, like in the initial conversation, I talked about Open SMTPD, right? So we are going to talk about Open SMTPD. So
Okay.
this vulnerability is present in many distros. That's why we consider it as one of the important vulnerability. And threat actors. Just a minute. And threat actors, it's email servers are one of the favorite target for all the threat actors. That's a reason I'm trying to demonstrate this one. Okay, I'll share my screen. Are you guys able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. I think Metasploit, I'm starting the Metasploit. I'm just I have started SMTP server on the system. For that, IPs So we have logged into OpenSMTPD where it is running. Let's check the IP. We have logged in. So IP is this one. This is a victim. Okay, and we can see these are the files presently on the system. Okay, we have loaded the Metasploit. Let's search for SMTPD. So we can see here, this is the one, first one, 0. This is the one which we are going to demonstrate. So we can check the info. What is the info about this vulnerability, which is OpenSMTPD mail from remote code execution. Actually in this, the problem is in the way SMTP server handles from is there, right? So it is not able to handle properly. That's a main reason. This we are able to execute commands on the SMTP server. Let's set the target. We have seen 21 and IP of let's find what is the IP of Kali Linux. It is okay, 56.22. Okay, let's set local host 56.22. So now I think we are show options. So these are the things. This is a target, and this is where we are running the Meterpreter section using on this port, and this is it. So let's before we exploit, let's try to telnet to that system. 192.168.56.21 on 25. Yeah, we are able to telnet to that system, and it is saying OpenSMTPD. This is good. Okay, now let's fire exploit. Okay, cool. So this is we are able to get into the system. As we can see here, command shell opened, and we are in the already shell command shell. How we can confirm? I can just say if config. I can see here IP, right? 56.31. Let's create one file. So I have created one file. Let's go to the target and see. Earlier these were the files. Okay, now we can see here victim.txt. So remotely we were able to get the shell, and let's check who am I. Am I root? See, we are root, so we are already root, and I have we have all the required privilege on that system. So it's this easy. So in 10 minutes, if we are able to pawn this open SMTPD attack, then for attackers it will be very easy. I'll just stop sharing the screen. I'll go back to the slides. So what was the problem is like it's a simple coding problem where attack like they are not validating certain parameters in the system. As we are running out, I think I'll move on to next. So what are the things how we can defend against this? This is one of the important aspect when it comes to defending the defending, right? So one is security apply security patches immediately when available. So all the critical vulnerabilities which gets discovered, and if it is a critical one and we have to apply those security patches as soon as possible. And next is visibility. It's very important us to understand like what are the assets are present in our infrastructure, and how what are the activities activities in our infrastructure, also activities in the endpoints. It's very important. Without the visibility, it's very hard to manage or secure the infrastructures. Third one is secure configurations. So security configuration is as important as vulnerability, because uh, if security settings are weak, if a server is configured with the weak configurations, then it's very easy for an attacker to get into the system. Because of this weak configuration, he don't need to try for any vulnerabilities. Attacker normally starts with checking are there any weak weak or security configurations. Then they will try tougher attacks, like finding vulnerabilities or trying to exploit using certain vulnerabilities, but they will start with the weak configurations. And last but not least, this is one of the important, I have explained earlier, why uh, educating employees important. Like I explained it earlier, humans are the weak links. Without the proper security knowledge on the social engineering attacks, it's very hard to secure the infrastructure. So this is one of the important. And how say also a few patches we should be able to automate things. And Saner can help applying as trying to find what kind of vulnerabilities are there, and giving the visibility what kind of assets are there, also giving the visibility on what kind of weak configurations are there. And also Saner can help you remediate those vulnerabilities or weak configurations in the system. So we can utilize a Saner platform which can help all these things. Also, it has a beautiful feature where we can automate various patching and vulnerability scanning as well. And it can do vulnerability scanning daily, on a daily basis. We don't need to wait for a month or each quarter to find out what kind of vulnerabilities are there in the system. So that's an old way of doing it. Now new way, I think we should on a daily basis